Alright, good evening everyone. Diablo Graves here. It's been a while, but I decided to found another game I wanted to give a try. Turn this down a little bit. I think that should be good. So, for those of you, you guys may have played Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney before. The original trilogy was one that I played through a long time ago. I played the first of these three games, Apollo Justice. That was years ago, and I kind of don't remember much. I mean, I might remember a couple of things as I start playing it again, but and then I never played the two games that came after it. So when I saw that the Apollo Justice Trilogy was being released on Steam, I thought, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. I'll play through the first one again, probably remember some things as I go through it, and then give the other two a try. So, yeah, let's see how this goes. Showdown time. Cop should be here any minute. Oh, right. Forgot I was going to read some of this stuff out. So, yeah, for those of you who are just listening, basically with a game of cards, somebody got bonked on the head, and yeah. Actually, I should go back and say, for those of you who've never seen one of these games before, it's basically you play as a defense attorney, you solve crimes, you have to interrogate witnesses in court and conduct investigations to find clues outside of the trial. But yeah, so the original trilogy was about a guy named Phoenix Wright. It was his, like, the first game was his, like, starting off as a new lawyer. It basically goes through a lot of stuff over the course of a few games. But I believe this is going to be a new guy coming in here. So April 20th, 9:37 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Apollo. Panicked, palms sweaty. I can admit it, I'm nervous. Good morning. Good morning, sir. You look tense, Justice. Wound up tight. Wound up, sir? No, I'm loose. I'm fine. That screeching noise. Is that your voice? I suppose it's to be expected. Your first trial, and it's a homicide. I guess justice doesn't start small, eh? I'm fine. I get up at 5 a.m. to do my Chords of Steel voice workout. I'm fine. That explains it. I did detect a certain rasping quality to your screech. I overdid it again. As you know, your client today is a good friend of mine. I wouldn't want to let him down. if you get my drift. Drift gotten, sir. I am all over that drift. As it happens, I dined with him the night of the murder. We can't let this case fall through. Yes, I'm fine, sir. One more thing. Don't say you're fine quite so much. People might take you the wrong way. I'll be preparing our case. You might want to introduce yourself to the client. My name is Apollo Justice. If it isn't clear already, I'm a new attorney. And today is my first trial. Not that I'm worried or anything. The defendant has been accused of murder. My boss wants to help him out, of course, and so do I. I mean, there's no way he did it. Not him. No way. And there he is. Whoa! Good, morning. Morning. It's all up to you today. First trial, nervous, medium, cardiac arrest. I think I'm supposed to say something. Help? So, you're fine. I'm fine. Mr. Fine, is it? I did remember having you having an odd name. This guy's one to talk. Well, we're off to a great start. Are you sure you're okay? I mean, with me? Mr. Gavin is a top-notch defense attorney, but he's your friend, so why... You'll see. You can do it. Be confident. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, we just got started. So, just to give you a quick rundown, so Apollo is the guy I'm playing as, and we just met our client who's going in for a murder trial, and this is our first case. So I'm really sorry this happened to you. I mean it's time, shall we? Yes, sir. Okay, I need to focus. First trial, here comes justice. April 20th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Court is now in session. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Oh man. Payne is frequently a I've seen him in previous games, and this guy, oh man. The defense is fine. I mean, ready, Your Honor. Mind going blank. Don't panic. Too late. Your name was Mr. Justice? And this is your first trial? Yes, Your Honor, but I'm fine, really. Are you quite sure? Your voice sounds a bit strained. Mr. Gavin? Yes, Your Honor. I was under the impression that you would be heading up this case. That was my intention, yes. However, a defense attorney must always cede to his client's wishes. My client specifically requested Mr. Justice. Well, of course, he wants justice. But to entrust his case to this greenhorn, why? I do not exaggerate when I say that you're the best defense attorney in town, Mr. Gavin. Okay, so Gavin's got trial experience, fine. But does he have cords of steel? Let's begin. The defendant may enter the courtroom. This is truly an unfortunate turn of events. I'm sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances. Long time no see, Mr. Wright. Let's put the past behind us, shall we? These days, I'm merely Phoenix Wright, piano player. Mr. Wright, how could this have happened? I won't speak of it further, then. If the prosecution would be so kind as to explain the charges, Mr. Payne. To think, I saw you enter this room a fresh attorney, and now I'll see you leave in chains. Ah, Winston Payne, subtle as ever, I see. The crime occurred at the Borscht Bowl Club, a Russian restaurant. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, took the victim, a customer, and he hit him. Wow, on the head. Smack. Killed him cold. Customer at the restaurant, you say? The defendant, you say he was a pianist for the club, it seems. Phoenix Wright, a pianist? This is the weapon that took the victim's life, a bottle of grape juice. Grape juice is apparently our defendant's drink of choice. The court accepts the deadly bottle as evidence. Deadly bottle added to court record. Something to note, Justice. All evidence is filed in the court record. Make practice of checking it frequently. The court record? Right, I've heard of that. See to look at the evidence so far. Confident in your ability to handle this. How long did I yearn for one of these? Just putting it on makes me feel ready. And the autopsy report. Time of death is around 2 a.m. April 17th. Death caused by a single blow to the forehead. Ooh, a sub-basement at the Borscht Bowl Club. Probably gonna be some things we'll have to figure out or take note of in this photo. But just keep it in mind for now. And then, obviously, this is the weapon. Yeah, a little bit. Clues here. I think there's supposed to be a way you can manipulate the hand, but maybe not. Oh, I see. You can use the interesting. Okay, that might actually be easier to choose a controller for this. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is gonna be easier with a controller. If I'm gonna have to examine things, it looks like the WSD, because my keyboard's a little wonky. So I think it's probably be easier with just using a controller. Okay, so that's my boss, Gavin Law Office's first-rate defense attorney and my trusted mentor. Pianist at the Borscht Bowl Club, formerly an ace defense attorney. Shady Smith, the victim in this case, a traveler only recently back in country. And Winston Payne, the prosecuting attorney. For all his experience, he lacks a certain presence. Right, just use right button. Sounds like it's time for some hands-on action. So, the victim was a customer at this restaurant. One moment. Do this. There we go. Had a bot jump in the chat for a second. The victim was a customer at this restaurant. Who was this Shady Smith fellow? I believe he was a traveler, Your Honor. Traveler? According to his passport, he had been out of the country for a number of years. He had only returned to this country recently, though his place of residence is unclear. He had some sort of connection with the defendant. That, too, is unclear at present, Your Honor. I believe they first met at the Borscht Bowl Club on the night of the crime. They only just met, then why murder? Perhaps the victim slighted the defendant's piano playing? That doesn't appear to have been the case. No, the motive had nothing to do with the defendant's lack of playing skill. At least not piano playing. I'll let this photo explain what I mean. Yes, it looks like they were playing cards. As you can see, a game of poker was in progress at the scene of the crime. Wait a second. Isn't that poker gambling? That's a crime in and of itself. Indeed, it appears our defendant has fallen to become the basest sort of criminal.
Objection!
It is true the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim, yet it was only that, a game in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor. A competition? Yes, a test of wits, a silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. Come again? The cards on the table had blue backs, Your Honor. I believe the defense was waxing poetic in an attempt to mystify those present and impress women. That will be our first order of business here, then, to find out more about this fatal game of cards. Very well, defendant. You will testify to the court about the poker competition held the night of the crime. My pleasure. This is it, my first trial. Here goes nothing. Competition. I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. My real job is to take on interested customers over the poker table. The room where we play and the competition in there are the club's main attractions. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is, a game, and our customers are happy. A pianist who can't play piano? Better than a defense attorney who can't defend. Very well, the defense may begin the cross-examination. Right, Your Honor. First cross-examination, don't blow it. You alright? You're sweating bullets. Bullets? Where? It's a figure of speech, Justice. Your voice sounds strained and raspy, too. My brain feels strained and raspy, sir. You've watched me perform cross-examinations many times, though you've never done one yourself, have you? Care for a refresher? To do, should I ask Mr. Gavin for a refresher course? Yeah, why not? It's been a while since I played one of these games. Better safe than sorry, especially this early in the game. Ha ha ha. Yes, teach me. I know nothing. Indeed, your job, Justice, is to be mindful of the court record and the testimony. Look for inconsistencies in the testimony with what the court record tells you. When you found an inconsistency, that's when you present the conflicting evidence from the court record. But I didn't hear anything strange at all in the testimony just now. Good sign that you need to press the witness for more information. Press him? Don't let the fact that he's a remarkable man hold you back. Get more information. But isn't Mr. Wright my client? Well, think you can do it? Yes, thank you, sir. Hello, Delphine. Somebody wanted some attention. Heard me talking. Yes, I know. You're a defense attorney. You can't. You're a cat. I think I can do it. I think you'd better, or we're going to have a problem. Just remember, find any inconsistencies, any lies in the testimony, and reveal them to the court. That is cross-examination. Learn it, know it, do it. Inconsistencies. Lies? Phoenix Wright? As if. Phoenix Wright would never lie, and it's up to me to prove it. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Alright, so... You can hardly play? Oh, I play sometimes, when customers demand it. So I play them one song. That's usually all they want. That's supposed to be a boast just now? The title of pianist is a mask, a respectable face I wear for the world at large. And why are you really at the Borscht Bowl Club? My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. They pay you just to play poker? That would seem to be the case. I am a professional, after all. Bah! Why detect pride in that statement? It's just hard for an honest, hard-working member of society like me to imagine. Yes, your imagination was always a bit limited, Winston. What? I played poker for 7 years in that little room. And I've never lost once. What? You see why the customers come now? Defeat the undefeated poker champion. It's quite a draw. That is, I'm quite a draw. Wait, you've never lost once? Not even one time? As I said, I'm a professional. Yeah, Delphine is frequently, whenever I start talking, she's like, oh, you're talking. That means you want to give me attention. So, I may have to occasionally stop and pet the cat to keep her happy. As I said, I'm a professional. He's played poker for 7 years and not lost once? Is that even possible? We play in the competition in there are this club's main attractions. The room in the crime scene photo is an attraction? That's quite a history, actually. The Borscht Bowl Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. But black market? All in the past. Things like the black market are only on the silver screen nowadays. Suffice it to say that there were a lot of details being made under the table. Right there in that room. Smoky room, gambling hoods. You know, just looking at this picture makes me feel bad. The bosses gather around the table, cutting deals, safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, a goon keeps watch through the small window. You can practically picture it now. That window does look like it would be good for keeping a lookout, but little else. The room had a few other tricks to it, though it was common knowledge to our regulars. At any rate, they come to play poker in a room steeped in history. Despite the dark past, it was all just good, clean fun. The rules are simple. Play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. 2 decks of cards? A simple measure to prevent cheating. If you alternate 2 decks, no one can slip in cards. There's something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lying scattered on the floor. Precisely. Cards on the table, cards up on the floor, each one forming a complete deck. A crime scene painted blue by a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we use 2 types of cards at the club. One deck of cards is red, the other blue. As I recall, in poker you make 5-card hands. I can see how it would be easy to cheat. Yes, a game of hands. This competition you're talking about, I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right. It's a simple game, after all. Are you sure? Huh? People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. Defendant, you were in the room that very moment that the crime occurred, yet you claim no connection to the crime. Now that's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition that night. Asking me about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a cry of objection from the defense. I completely let that one slip by. Don't despair yet, Justice. Sir? Right. There's something I'd like made clear, namely, your connection to the case at hand, and I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Very well, the defendant will omit his testimony. Just one little press, and I've got myself a whole new testimony. As long as a game and our customers are... Okay, I think... So I got a new line here. Complete silence regarding the murder will say never touch the murder weapon. Okay, that's all it is, a game and our customers are happy. I'm still pressing on this one. Claim you weren't gambling. That's right. It was simply a game. You didn't bet any money, not even a little. The only thing at stake in our game was pride itself. Oh, well put, Mr. Wright. Gonna mind to play a hand of poker myself. Stakes, your fate. Can we get back to the trial now? Alright, so I plead silence here. I say I never touched the murder weapon. Silence? Defendant has the right to refuse to testify. I haven't forgotten everything about the law. But why? That clearly puts you at a disadvantage. And it's your job to turn that around in our favor, yes? Great. Like I didn't have enough to do already. Justice, didn't you detect anything odd about that testimony? Huh? Wait, something he said did ring a little strangely. Just one thing, and what was it? You figure it out, I suggest presenting evidence. Evidence that contradicts the testimony. Contradiction in Mr. Wright's testimony, but why? You better check the court record. So, yeah, it has Mr. Wright's prints on it, so... Imagine Mr. Wright lying in a testimony. Isn't it a little early to be jumping to conclusions? This is your first cross-examination. Take it slow. Need more information. Don't forget to press. Right. I got it. Fine. Time to listen to that testimony again. So, yeah. Press him for lots of information. And then, once you think you've got everything you need... Opening objection. So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon, this grape juice bottle, right? So I said. Something the matter, Mr. Justice? Hee hee hee. Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb. What's this, Mr. Payne? I examined the bottle in question, you see, and it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints. Objection! No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine. Such yelling can damage the judge's ears and our case. But what about my cords of steel? So, you know, in the previous games, that was a big draw. You know, they yell objection, hold it, and all that fun stuff. Seems like Apollo got a little too into it. Anyway, what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? Well, that's true. Prints alone don't prove he did it. Oh, they wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints. Huh? The fingerprints on the murder weapon were upside down. Upside down? What does that mean? It means he was holding the bottle inverted, and there can only be one reason for that. Yes. To brain someone with the bottle. Ah! Mr. Gavin, I think things just took a turn for the worse. Oh? I see no problem, Justice. Huh? The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything. You'll see. Defendant, can you explain your fingerprints on this bottle to the court? I stand by my plea of silence regarding the murder. For now. Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case. I'm sure he's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be some reason.
Objection!
Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? The night of the crime, who was it who reported the murder to the police? Reported? Well, that was the defendant, Mr. Wright. But still, that... Really? Yes, well, according to the case file, the murder was reported from near the scene by a call from the defendant's cell phone. Near the scene? Let's take a look at a diagram of the murder scene, shall we? The victim is murdered in a small room in a basement 2 floors down from ground level. Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far down. The defendant used the stairs in this hallway to go above ground. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant. I see, and this is the phone that made the call. Right cell phone added the court record. The cell phone looks familiar. I think he's still using the same cell phone from the previous games. The defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose, yet he fulfilled his duty as a citizen and reported it to the authorities. And you claim he's being uncooperative? Okay. Nice save, Mr. Gavin. I'd better not waste this. I think the prosecution has toyed with our client enough for the time being. It's toyed? I assure you, no one is more serious about... What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment the crime occurred? How can you possibly know this? That's a good question. How indeed? The answer is simple, Your Honor. The prosecution has a decisive witness. You're as good as they say you are. So someone else was in the room the night of the crime. That must mean they witnessed the crime. Everything up till now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready? Very well. The prosecution may call its first witness to the stand. Yeah, I had one of those for several years myself. The witness will state her name and profession. Now, hold on just a moment. Where's the witness? I surmise that she's been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns. So I used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. If any horns point in this direction, this court will cut them off. You are sure? I swear it on my gavel. Please, come out. Violence against hair or crime, Your Honor. Another continuation of a tradition of the protagonist defense lawyer having strange hairstyles. Well, if you're sure it is okay. Now, the prosecution... Wait a minute. The prosecution care to explain the witness's paraphernalia? Yes. She's a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely the tools of her trade. And that would be... My name is Olga Orley. I am employed as waitress in Borscht Bowl Club restaurant. Then why the camera? Of course, it is my pride to serve borscht that is naming restaurant. But I also perform, how it is said, other service. To get one of these other services is taking the customer's pictures. Like, for example, this one. Okay, so there's the piano. Looks like a menu in the back. Two of them. Hey, wait a minute. Well, I'm already noticing something that looks very strange. Like, for example, this one. That's... defendant? Indeed, on the night of murder. The man in white hat is one who has gone kaput. Indeed, that is the victim. Order. This is quite a piece of evidence to casually drop into our laps. The same way as I drop cold bowls of borscht on laps of customers, casually. And the court will casually accept this new evidence. Olga's photo added to the court record. Now, witness, where were you at the time of the murder? I was in room. The hideout, we call it. Excuse me? The hideout? It is room where famous gangster bad guy was arrested. I should point out, the names in these games are often kind of ridiculous. If that wasn't already obvious. This room where murder took place. What? Your look of utter surprise. It is lovely. I will post by courtroom door later for you. Photos will be numbered, and you will write which ones you want copy of. So there were 3 people in the room at the time of the crime. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and Orley, our witness. And Mr. Wright isn't the killer. That means... Very well, witness. You will testify to the court about that night's events. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. It was cold. Both players played with hats on, The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on locket at his neck. Then, last hand is done, but something terrible has happened, That man flew at victim, and is strangling him to death. Incidentally, who won the game? Isn't it obvious? The winner was the victim, Mr. Smith.
Objection!
That's ridiculous. Because Mr. Wright can't lose. Justice, maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection. But he hadn't lost in 7 years. Take it from me, kid. It happens. I didn't lose a case my first 7 years as prosecutor either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here. These are the poker chips as they lay the very moment of the crime. The hand and chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith. Chips, you say? I mean, yes, imagine that poker is war. Your hand is your army, and the chips are the spoils. I know that. After all, in my youth, I was known as the poker head of courtroom number 3. I think he means poker face. Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table. Just photo edited the court record. Very well, the defense may cross-examine the witness. You were dealing cards. Do you do this often? I'm doing this. Customer wishes it, I serve anything. Borscht, cards, more borscht. This is my work. It's good to hear of a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service. Welcome you to Borscht Bowl Club, where borscht is as warm as the waitresses. Thank you for not handing out flyers during the cross-examination. It's cold. Both players played with hats on, It's already April. How could it be cold? At Borscht Bowl Club, we have pride on authentic rustic Russian restaurant theme. Outside it is city in spring, but inside it is always as cold as Mother Russia. No way am I going there. When it comes to hot borscht, cold is best seasoning, The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on... Okay. Yeah, this is the part that concerns me. His locket? Look at this good luck charm, He gripped it many times as he played that night. Yes, he must have felt as though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. Though if it were small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift. The defense would like a clarification. This is a locket we're talking about. I mean, a pendant with a picture in it, right? Not a rocket. Of course, I knew that. It's probably a pendant shaped like a rocket. That's why she called it. No, a locket's a locket. It doesn't matter what shape. It's considered bad form to poke fun at the hard of hearing in our society. Hard of hearing or hard of understanding? So what happened next? Then last time is done. Yeah. Something terrible? Eee. Defense will refrain from needless shouting. Sorry. I need to seriously reconsider this vocal training thing. Now, Mrs. Orley, can you tell us what happened? Oh, I was so frightened. I trembled with fear. I didn't strangle me with that. Hold on. The defendant would never... Well now, I can't say I've ever heard the defense try this tactic. If possible, please, refrain from embarrassing me. Still, why would anyone do something like this over a game of poker? Perhaps it is because the defendant has lost game? Yes, a crushing defeat for a man undefeated. So it always is with men like him. Winners make sore losers. Oh, how the mighty fall. Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir. Leave it to me. 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. Victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and... Mr. Wright isn't the killer. I don't know. Let's check something. Yeah. Well, anyways, for now, it's gotta be this one, because strangling wasn't the cause of death.
Objection!
Really? Strangled, you say? That's odd. Normal customers only choke on borscht. No, I mean that this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Eh. Ms. Orley, really now? Did you witness the crime? Eek. That's a pretty good catch. Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything. Yet it is a fact that he was hit, Your Honor. Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during our investigation. Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? His head certainly was hit. But I've seen it happen. The defendant, he lunged at victim, his neck. Oh really, Mrs. Orley? I think I've caught you in your own lie this time. Justice. Admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more. What do you mean? I found a contradiction. There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me. Very well. It seems we should continue the cross-examination. Such a thing as thinking too much. This horse is dead, let's stop beating it. There's such a thing as thinking aloud too much, too. Try to strangle victim, he hit him with a bottle. You didn't say anything, but I think before. Sorry. Must be forgetting this, Da. Witness, you will take greater care with your testimony. Oh, Da, I'm sorry, Your Honor. That clears up the discrepancy with the autopsy report, I believe. The defendant made to strangle his victim, then changed his mind, and chose a simpler, blunter means to do the job. Yes, that sums it up nicely. So he strangled him, then hit him? Something's fishy about all this. Go ahead, I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir, leave it to me. Only 3 people. Mr. Wright's favorite drink. I wonder how well it goes with borscht. Okay, that looks like the bottle. Looks like the same setup. Blue. No, I think they said it was blue. Yeah, it's a black and white photo, so you can't really tell from the black and white photo. But you can tell from the other one, it was... I'm pretty sure they did say they were playing with the blue deck at the time. There's something that I noticed, because when I saw this photo, and then I saw this photo, there's a difference between him and these 2 photos that has to do with strangling. I'm not sure if it's the time to present this yet or not, but... Strangulation leaves marks, but I don't think that's the I don't think that's what they're going for, because like he tried to strangle him, but he couldn't strangle him successfully. So I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that she talks about his having his hand on his locket at his neck, and you can see it in this photo, but I'm noticeably not seeing it in either of these photos. So I'm wondering if that's the contradiction. I guess not. Maybe I'm calling that too early. Sure, I follow you. Clearly, it contradicts the, I thought... Doesn't sound very sure, Mr. Justice. Objection overruled. Alright. So if you get it wrong, you take a penalty, so... I'm not sure what else it would be. I guess I could try using the photo here and see if it is the marks, but I don't think that's it. Objection! No, that's not it. Sorry, but I can see nothing faulty. Yeah, that's not it. A little rusty at this. I'm gonna try to string over to meet him with bottle. Try pressing this again. Let's lock it. She got a little charm. He gripped it many times as he played that night. Wouldn't have much lift. Variation. Okay, so it's not this. Didn't say anything about hitting before. Must be forgetting. Right, the discrepancy with the other port. He made to strangle his victim, then changed his mind and chose a simpler, blunter means to do the job. Strangle him, then hit him. Something's fishy about all this. Death caused by a single blow to the forehead. Okay. Battery's being held in a piece of tape. Should just buy a new one. I don't think there's anything about the phone. Completely empty. Hold on. That's a weird looking spot there, but I guess that doesn't mean anything. they keep it cold in the... We already tried the photo here. I guess maybe it's because the autopsy report doesn't show any signs of strangulation? No, that's not it. I'm already stumped here. I really am rusty at this game. I am not sure what the answer is here. He tried to strangle me, hit him with the bottle. And the bottle is right there. It's on the table. Poker chips. Yeah, as far as I can tell, the layout of the cards is the same. The aces and kings on one side and aces and sevens on the other side. And that looks like aces, kings, and aces, sevens. The chips look about the same, too. Bottle is on the corner of the table. Bottle's on the corner of the table. Tried this one. No, that's not it. Yeah, there's nothing... Chips were slightly different in that first picture, but... Yeah, I didn't think that's it. The only thing I can think of is she says the last hand is done, but it looks like both of them still have some chips, so it doesn't seem like usually the game ends when one person gets all the chips, right? So like, if this is it when the crime took place, like usually it's not just like one hand, you know?
Objection!
No. Oh man. No need to further prolong his trial. Huh. I'll retry from this scene. He's got his hat on. They both got their hats on earlier. And this was hat removed during the investigation. So this seems correct. All the time with the hand on his leg. See, this is the one that... I thought might be off because he doesn't have the locket around his neck anymore. It was there earlier. I tried presenting that one, and it didn't work. And then... on the forehead. And I noticed that the cap is also off in the pictures, but I don't know if that, I don't know how that would really matter. Okay, I think I tried this photo. Maybe you're supposed to use the close-up photo?
Objection!
Ah, that's what it is. That's one curious part in her testimony, just like how it said. Alright, I feel like the first one should have been also presentable for that one. But what does it mean? Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about? Recall the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand on locket at his neck, I believe she said. I hope you aren't about to raise an objection to the witness's grammar. No, but look at this photograph. Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? Yeah. Okay, I presented the other photo where you also can see that the locket is not on his neck. I feel like that should have counted. Anyways, well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean? If we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, and the locket disappeared following the victim's death. Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. It's quite simple when you think about it. The locket is gone. Someone must have taken it off, no? And I think I know who it is, because I think I saw earlier. Taking it off. Wait, you don't mean the defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it? The defendant, what do you have to say to this? Yeah, it's right there. Say, yes? I just noticed this, but you have something hanging around your neck, don't you? Oh, you mean this? Yes, it's a locket, with a photograph inside. a photo of my daughter. Come again? Mr. Wright, you have a daughter? We confirmed it at the time of the arrest. The picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter. So Mr. Wright has a locket too? Why don't I buy that this is just a coincidence? Well now, if the results of this poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game. Further testimony won't really be necessary. It's clear the defendant lost. Badly. Ms. Orley, you will testify at the court about the game played between the victim and defendant. The game began with 3,500 point in chips for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The one who was winning, it was victim. For last hand, defendant play with all chips on table and lose. The moment loss was decided, defendant grabs bottle from table and... Indeed, looking at this picture, it does seem to be a one-sided game. As the court knows, poker was the defendant's life. Failure must have been a bitter pill to swallow. Ah, how many times have I heard these words? I done it in a fit of anger, Your Honor, and now I regret what I done. A common tale, but true. Methinks the judge watches too many old court movies. Mr. Wright said he hasn't lost in several years, so this testimony must be wrong. I mean... Anyways. We have 3,500 points in chips. Are those the usual starting points? Were any special rules used? No, not special. Usual game, usual rules. Should we get 3,500, the total would be... Safely 7,000 points. Hey, Torpedoes. How's it going? Please, this isn't calculus. It's not even long division. Well, fortunately you don't really need to know. I mean, we're starting on what is technically the 4th game in the series, but it's a fresh start. So, I'll give you a quick catch-up. Basically, we're a starting attorney in our first case, Apollo Justice. Here, I'll bring up the court record. So this is our boss, Christoph Gavin. This is our defendant, Phoenix Wright, who was formerly an ace defense attorney and was actually the main character in the previous games. The victim was a traveler who's recently come back into the country. This is the prosecuting attorney. He's the guy I'm going up against in court. And this is the current witness in the case, who was a waitress at the Borscht Bowl Club. So, give you a quick rundown. Basically, according to the report... Is it just Freeze or just me? I don't think so. I'm not seeing any dropped frames, and it looks like it's still running. Okay. Give you a quick rundown. Basically, Phoenix is on trial for killing this guy, Shady Smith, in the Borscht Bowl Club. The theory is that he was killed by a blow to the forehead from this murder weapon of a grape juice bottle. Mr. Wright's prints are on it. Here's a picture. They were basically playing a game of poker. Phoenix is apparently incredibly good at poker and hasn't lost in 7 years. But the idea was that maybe he lost this game, got mad, and beating this guy with the juice bottle. Here's a photo of them talking earlier. Here's a photo of the game as it ended. And here's a photo of when they removed his hat and showed that he was in fact beamed on the head. So I think that's basically it. And now the witness is talking about the rules of the game. So basically, each person started with 3,500 in chips, so there's 7,000 total. And I think you're all caught up at this point. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The chips in this photo, all the chips that were used. Of course. Something's fishy with these chips. Should I press harder? Oh, why not? Explain a bit about these chips. Explain? What is there to be explained? Poker chips are poker chips. They're not fish and chips, not a chip off the old block, not a motorcycle cop, not a... Thanks. Now that I've pressed her, I'd better ask something. What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars or rubles even? Yeah, as I've been saying before, it was a game, not gambling. Hard perhaps for capitalists to understand. They do kind of play up the whole shtick here. It's a little ridiculous, but whatever. Two types of chip, 100-point chip and 1,000 points chip. It's not money. Justice. Sir, don't you find her comment interesting? More ways than one, sir. I'd have it added to her testimony myself. Well, does the defense want it? Yeah, we want to add this one. I do think this deserves further scrutiny. Add it to the testimony, which I knew where I was going with this. Very well, witness, if you would be so kind. Your Honor. She was 100. Two kinds in all. The one who was winning, who was victim. I'm gonna press her on this because I think I already know what the problem is. But I kind of want to see what she... Yeah. Telling me that Mr. Wright, undefeated for 7 whole years, was losing. That must have been a most unlucky day for him. Glad I did not take other picture of it with a great camera, certainly. Chips, they went always to victim's side of the table. Telling us it was a one-sided game. One-sided and... For last hand, the defendant played with all chips on table and lose. Last hand? It was the largest points of any hand. The defendant's hand, it was excellent. He tried to use it to take victory from behind. It appears that both the defendant and the victim's hands are in this picture. Truly an excellent hand, however, so is the victim's. One with highest number wins, the defendant loses. The victim, Mr. Smith, had a stronger hand than the defendant and crushed him. I believe that explains what occurred next. His cards laid on table. Moment loss is decided. Defendant grabs ball from the table. And what happened next? Even to think that now I shake and tremble. Not believe such thing would happen. What such thing? Please, you must believe. No idea. Okay, so... Yeah, they were both full houses. Yeah, I know. You saw it all happen right before you. A bottle coming down, victim's head, blah, blah, blah. Size it in your honor. Was this the very moment of the crime? Remember, your first goal was to gather information. Yeah, so the victim had the stronger hand, but that's not the problem here. I'm gonna press her on this, but Mr. Gavin said this testimony is important. To be honest, I have no idea why. It's justice, the court have favor, and think of what you want to say before raising your hand. We are not in kindergarten. Sorry. Better think of something to ask. And quick. The two types of chips. The small ones are 100 and the big ones are 1,000. It's an assumption. And she didn't see the ball was in Wright's hand. She didn't, but there's a assumption being made here. Because they pointed out that there were 7,000 points in total, and if you assume the big ones are 1,000 each, that's over 7,000. Sometimes you may not have to 7 it's supposed to be exactly. But if you look at the small ones being 1,000 each, there's 6 small ones on the table and 10 big ones. That adds up to 1,000, but that would indicate that Phoenix actually had 4,100 to 2,900 on the defendant's side. So there's no way this could be the last hand for... There's no way Phoenix would have had to go all in because he's got more chips. Justice, please try not to embarrass me like that. Oh, yeah, fine. Yeah, I know. Alright. Guess I'll use this one?
Objection!
Yeah, it works. You sure it was the victim who won? Absolutely sure? Seems our new attorney is a bit confused. A glance at the picture is enough to tell you won. You're not in kindergarten. Just for safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the court? Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which were worth 1,000 points? Why, the big ones, of course. Duh. Nope. I thought so too, but then the totals don't add up. Yeah. Let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 chips. The combined total was 7,000. Yeah, it's usually what happens is once one person mentions kindergarten, you'll see it mentioned, or something. It becomes a bit of a running joke that it'll get mentioned a couple more times. My calculations are correct. Let's see, 3 plus 1 carries 5. They are, Your Honor. Now, look at this photo. All shows all the chips. Yep. Big chips are worth 1,000, the small chips are worth 100. You add them up. Do it yourself. Kindergarten, are you? See? They'll throw it back at him. So they were making references to him, so now he gets to throw it back at them. It's... whatever. 10,600 points. The chips don't add up. It clearly contradicts the witness's testimony. But why? How could this be? Exactly, Justice. Now that you know the what, you must determine the why. Right, there's only one possible way to explain this contradiction. Well, the starting points weren't wrong. The chip count, was it? I'm not sure if they mean like the chip count as in counting them 1,000 and counting them 100, or the chip count as in who's got how many chips on the table. I'll try this one. The odd thing here is the number of chips. No, okay. Just in case. Have a good evening. Justice, it's your case I'm concerned about, if you're wondering about... Okay. The photograph, it's all there. Even our judge with his failing eyesight could count them. Okay. I thought maybe they meant how much they were counting each one for. Anyways, both were right. Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all the chips are indeed shown in this photograph, then there can be only one answer. What is it? The value of the chips was the other way around. Okay. So that's what I was trying to get at. Want to know what I think? The small chips are worth 1,000, not the big ones. Show me that photograph of the chips again. There are 6 small chips and 10 large chips. Why, that does make 7,000 points when you add them up. Excellent work, Justice. It's almost as though you figured it out by yourself. Just glad I was the one who said it. But wait. The value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing. Indeed, the victim did have the larger number of chips still. Ah, exactly. The small chips are 1,000 points, and the large chips are 100. Let's do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table. The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900, and the defendant had 4,100. Yep. Well, now, it seems that Mr. Wright was winning that night after all. That's impossible. The client had even less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning. Yarr! Yeah. Now, Ms. Orley, you must have known the true value of the chips, since you were there at the scene of the crime, weren't you? Eek. Order, order. Appears our defendant has lost his motive, and Mr. Wright's supposed defeat never happened. Let's now ask ourselves whether we can trust the witness's testimony at... Excuse me? What is it, Miss Orley? I did not want to be saying this, but... Actually, you see, See what, Miss Orley? What do we see? The last hand, there was cheat. Oh boy. You don't mean a trick? Wait, or do you mean a scam? They're all the same thing. Yes, it is. It is a bowl of borscht that she's carrying, and that she manages to reconstruct as it falls out of the sky whenever she gets frightened. It's cheating last hand. That is why games end with chips as they are. Great, just great. First we have lying, now cheating. Well, this case certainly has taken a turn for the interesting. Witness, you will please testify in the court. Tell us about this cheating. Right. And, I'm a little concerned. Tell us about this cheating the final hand. Last hand, both men had full house. There's 4 of each card in the deck, from ace to king. Look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. Hearts, clubs, spades. Okay. For a second, I thought there were going to be like 2 aces of spades or something on the table. She's more obvious. The next moment, game becomes argument. Yeah. The defendant's trick is exposed. He took bottle in his hand. Poor Mr. Smith. Sorely, why did you not tell the court about this from the very beginning? I thought I smelled a cover-up here. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers. Full house is a very high-scoring hand, not easy to make in my experience. That alone is enough to suspect less than scrupulous tactics. Mr. Gavin, what's a full house? Lawyers these days, you don't know your poker? Can't say this bodes well for your case or career. Yeah, I'm not exactly clear on what it was either. I thought maybe, no, you can't really, like, you can't really tell if there were any other cards on the floor. It looks like a handkerchief in his pocket, so it wasn't like he slipped a card there. I don't know. Probably have to press her for more information. What is this? Some kind of secret court poker ring? Justice, you know the terms 1 pair, 2 pair, and 3 of a kind, yes? Yeah, no problem. 2 cards with the same number makes a pair, and 3 makes a 3 of a kind. Good. Now picture a hand with 1 pair and 1 3 of a kind. That's full house. It doesn't sound very easy to make, does it? You can see each player's hand in this photo. They both have full houses, right? And kings are better than 7s. Which is why the victim's hand is better. Forget there's an easy way to make a full house and go undefeated. You forget there's an easy way to make a full house and go undefeated for 7 years. You cheat. Defense may cross-examine the witness. If he did cheat in the last hand, that still leaves one important question. Mr. Wright lost that hand. Who's ever heard of a professional con man losing when they cheat? How hard it is to make a full house anyway? Quite hard. It's making a pair and a 3 of a kind at the same time. You're right. I guess that's right. Very difficult to be sure. You can take my word as the poker head of quarter number 3. But it's not impossible. Okay, full house, hard. This line of questioning, a waste of time. Yeah. There's 4 of each card in deck from ace to king. 4 of each card, you say? It's 1 spade, 1 diamond, 1 heart, and 1 club for each card. Right. In fact, this number 4 comes from the number of seasons. You don't say. And the cards are numbered 1 through 13. Add all the cards in the deck, you get... Is that right? 13, 1 through 91 through 13 added together would be 91 times 4, 364, yeah, wow. Yeah, I did not realize that if you add 1 through 13 4 times, you get 364. Not 1 day short. I mean, it is 1 day short, but still. Text has 2 jokers. I think a joker stands for the leap year. I don't know if that's... I'll have to look that up later. So you have a perfect representation of the year, all in deck cards. Huh. Creepy in the this courtroom for a year if it keeps going like this. Both men's hands, cheese more obvious. But it's not obvious. Well, the defendant, he played a fifth ace, but he doesn't have a fifth ace. Still remember both hands very well. Smith hand has three aces. No, it doesn't. This is clearly wrong. Mr. Wright's two, obviously cheating was a foot, or perhaps I should say a hand. Yeah, like this is really obvious. Like, I mean, you know, she probably hasn't seen the photo, but see what she has to say. And then we're arguing about. I believe so. Victim, he shouts, "You're a cheater," and then defendant shouts something like, "I have objection." Shouting objection, and old habits are hard to break. First he bluffed his way through the courtroom, now he bluffs his way to the right. Lost the hand. That seems to cast a shadow of doubt on Mr. Smith. Nation from losing even cheating. Set fire to the defendant's heart. Alright. Appears the witness is mistaken. Mistaken? But my name... Look, this piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in your testimony. The photo of the chips. Perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. In other words, use your finger to point out your point. So this is where I get... This is something you'll have to do every so often, is pointing out the contradiction in an image. In your testimony, you made the following claim. Smith's hand has three aces. As you can clearly see, the victim's hand only held two aces. Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. Perhaps it was the defendant's hand that held the third ace in question. Nope. The evidence shows... Yeah. So there's no cheat here. Is he cheating alright? And it's going on right here in this courtroom. Two aces in each player's hand does make four aces total. Hardly proof of cheating. Wait, please. It's true. I've seen it. Fifth ace. There was cheating, I swear to you. That's odd. She must be lying, yet she's the most sincere I've seen her all day. You're right to trust your instincts, Mr. Gavin. You notice what lies in store for us in the trial ahead. Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards. The cards? Mr. Payne. The players' hands that night were set aside as evidence, were they not? The defense would like to request that the cards be shown to the court. Well, in the witness's case, she wouldn't have seen the evidence beforehand. She just came up to testify. In Winston Payne's case, he's not that great of a prosecuting attorney. Unfortunately. The prosecution said that's which we examine, the victim's cards or the defendant's cards. If the cards don't prove cheating was going on, nothing will. Now, which of these hands is more suspicious? I mean, it'd have to be the victim's hand if... It'd have to be the victim's hand because that was the one that the witness was sure was different from what was in the photo. But the defendant first, really. Well, the defendant's hand was the same as what she claimed it was. It was the victim's hand that was different. Because she said the victim had three aces and two kings, but it was actually two kings and... or three kings and two aces. The defendant is the one accused of cheating, but... Now, I'm going to look at the victim's hand that changed over the course of the witness's testimony. Yeah. Right. The thing is, she was accusing him of cheating, but the difference in the two hands was on the victim's side, not on the defendant's, between what she testified and what was shown. So it almost seems like maybe the victim was the one cheating. The defense requests time to examine Mr. Smith's cards. Very well, Mr. Payne, if you would. Very well. Okay, yeah, 2 aces, 3 kings. So it's the same as what was in the photo, but not what the witness claimed. No time's wasting. Get to it, Justice. Yes, sir. Examining evidence. Be sure to view it from all sides and angles. Try using our search. Oh, I see. Well, this is another thing, is you're going to be... Usually when you get pieces of evidence, you can, like, flip them around and look at them and all that sort of thing. Let's do this. So... Oops. Ah! I hit the B button by accident instead of X and Y. Aha! Wait. All of these are red. I was expecting there to be like one red card and yeah. Huh. Because the deck on the table was blue, but all of these cards are red. Your Honor, look at this. The victim's cards. Back is a different color. Eh? That's impossible. Did I put that card in Wright's or right? I put that card in Wright's hand? Wait. But this was the victim's hand. Hold on. Wait a minute. That's impossible, but I put that card in Wright's hand. Hold on. I put that card in Wright's hand. Wait a minute. Something weird is happening here. Well, it's not that she just confessed to tampering with the evidence. That was the victim's hand. Wright's hand was supposed to be the other hand, so how did it end up on Smith's side of the table? Like, what she's saying doesn't match up. Even that doesn't match up with the evidence. Is that Mrs. Orley? No, yeah, or I merely said, I have... Your Honor, Mr. Gavin, yes? Tell me, what's the easiest way to cheat at poker? To cheat? I'll tell you. One merely needs a friend, a comrade, shall we say. The dealer. Aha! She was, she was actually the dealer. Wait, so you mean this witness? She's the cheater. A professional, I'd wager. Order, order. Focus, Justice. Time to take advantage of her. I mean, her mistake. Your Honor, please recall the testimony we just heard. That's impossible, but I put that card in Wright's hand. Ergo, Miss Early conspired to cheat not with my client, but with the victim, Mr. Shady Smith. Oh. Wait. Not only did she cheat, she cheated poorly. Therefore, it's not hard to imagine an altercation between her and the victim. What? Wait, you don't mean... The defense isn't accusing the witness, Miss Olga Orley. Time for justice. There were 3 people in the room at the time of the incident, and if Mr. Wright isn't guilty, that means I am. The defense accuses the witness of murder. Mr. Payne, where's your witness, Miss Olga Orley? It appears she has lost consciousness, Your Honor. Mr. Justice, Your Honor. It seems you've presented a new possibility to the court, one suggesting a connection between the witness and the victim, Mr. Smith. And that means this court cannot pronounce a verdict for the defendant at this time. What? I did it. I held out. I see no point in prolonging the trial this day. The prosecution will need to make further inquiries.
Objection!
Mr. Wright? You can't end the trial here, Your Honor. Not yet. What nonsense is the defendant spewing now? Think. One of the cards had a different colored back. Don't you wonder what it means? What are you doing, Mr. Wright? Raising objections right when you're about to get off the hook? Ridiculous. It is jumping to conclusions. I mean, obviously, it doesn't... Yeah, so there's a lot that's weird going on right now. So, something's strange. Mr. Payne, you of all people should know, Mr. Wright has a talent for the ridiculous. Perhaps we should get to the bottom of things. Let's clear up the facts about the game that fateful night. As was said before, we alternated between 2 decks of cards that night. That was said before. 2 decks at the club have different colored backs, blue and red. Right. 1 color per deck. Why use different colored backs? If we use the same color, the 2 decks might get mixed. If we use different colors and they still got mixed up. We used the red deck for the last game, but the blue deck was on the table. But that's odd. For some reason, I have this impression that you were using the blue cards. Yeah, me too. I'm sure someone said something about blue cards. And 1 card of the wrong color got into the mix. But it's right there on the table. The blue cards are on the table. What is going on here? Then 1 card of the wrong color got in the mix, which means there was cheating. Yes, a card slipped into the deck would seem to indicate cheating, yet this card raises 2 serious questions. Paulo? Yes. Let's consider the first question, shall we? Think. In the last game, when was the card swapped? When? There are 3 broad possibilities here. It could have been swapped before the murder, during the murder, or after the murder. Well, yeah, thanks for the news bulletin, Mr. Wright. 4 cards, exactly. 4 cards were slipped in there, or something. I don't know what happened. Of course, it could also be, hold on, it could be that 4 cards were slipped in there. It could also be that the top card of the deck is blue, but all the other cards are red. I don't know. We also, maybe I should have looked at Mr. Wright's hand as well, because I never got to look at his hand. Let's see if his cards were all red. It might be as simple as you think, Mr. Payne, or it might not be. I'd like to hear what Apollo thinks first. When do you think that cards were swapped? This seems too weird for it to be before the murder or even during the murder. Like, that's... Because they don't match up with the back, it almost feels like this may have happened afterwards. Perhaps it happened after the murder? What's that? Ridiculous. What's the point of cheating after the hands have been shown? That's silly. Yes, but tell me, how do you swap cards during the game? I'll take silly over impossible. Take it from me, son. There's a lot of silly in this world, but very little impossible. Even when the backs of the cards are a different color? If you pulled that during the game, you'd be caught in no time. Yeah, because... Wait a minute. We're seeing the cards as they are laid down on the table, but if they picked them up and held them, Yeah, it'd be really obvious. Quite true. That would mean that the blue card in question was swapped after the hands were shown, after the murder. Yeah, because if you were holding your hand, you would see the backs of the cards, and it would be really obvious. So, Okay, this is going past silly and straight up to crazy. I ask again, what's the point of cheating after the game's over? Who would do that? Who indeed? That's one of the mysteries before us. There's another? Yes, a simple, yet decisive question must be asked. Who swapped the red card for a blue card? Who? Tell the guy right in front of right. Yeah, presumably. The game and murder is done. The victim... Let's see. Who swapped the red card for the blue card? The game and murder is done. The victim is dead. Only two remain in the room, alive that is. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, and our witness, Olga Orley. Okay, so who was it that swapped the red card for a blue? Why would Phoenix swap out a card that would make him lose the hand? So I don't think it's Phoenix. It's like that. If he did it after the murder, then why? There's no motive for him to do it. For her, she could have done it. But then if she... Why would she do it if she... I think it's Phoenix. Why would she swap it out after the murder? I mean, I guess maybe to make it seem like Phoenix? But how does that make it look like Phoenix did it if there's such an obvious contradiction? She intended to cheat, did badly, got a fight afterwards, swapped it out to pretend she... Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. The card, she was trying to cover up evidence of the cheating. But then... But then if she swapped it out after to pretend cheating with the motive... Sorry. There's a problem with that explanation. Because if the swap happens afterwards, then no cheating happened. When did the cheating happen? The swap card was in the wrong deck. Blue card was stuck into a red hand. Blue card from the wrong deck when the backs are different colors? No, it's fine. I know that you're talking about Olga Orley. She was the dealer. I really think she would make such a novice mistake. I have trouble imagining you're the judge making that mistake. Give it a little more thought, Paulo. Right. Okay, so it's not her, and I don't think it would have been Phoenix. I'll try Phoenix. I do such a thing. Yeah, there's no reason for it. The fact that you cheated. That the swap card was in the victim's hand. Yeah. Think of it. He would lack a motive for helping his opponent to win. Yeah. I didn't think this was right, but so it has to be someone else. But who? Well, it doesn't seem like it could have been Olga Orley either. It's hardly a logical conclusion, I'll admit. As a defense, I think it only makes sense for you to name Miss Orley at this point. Yes, I know, but she was the one who dealt the cards, right? I just can't believe she would make the mistake of swapping the wrong color card. If the card was swapped during the game, it'd be obvious. Something you'd like to share with the court, Mr. Wright? Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. I was just thinking how much fun all this is. Fun? How about confusing? I have no idea what the defense is claiming, Your Honor. The one who swapped the card wasn't the defendant, and it wasn't Ms. Orley. Then who was it? Yeah, well, that is the question, isn't it? Precisely. Huh? I believe we're about to see this case take a new direction. We'll find that indeed after the murder. Someone swapped one of the cards in the victim's hand, and that someone made two critical mistakes. I'm sure you're going to tell us that the first was swapping the wrong color card, because the one who did the swap didn't know two colors of cards were being used. Okay. That could make sense if there were cards all over the floor, and... New two colors of cards were being used. The other mistake was the number on the card. Right, the person replaced the fifth ace with a king. I'm sure whoever swapped it wasn't expecting there to be a fifth ace after all. All they knew was that the game had been won with a full house. So they picked up a king from the table, swapped it in. But there's one problem. According to our case record, this person doesn't exist. True, not until now, but you have to admit the possibility of a fourth person, though it's more than a possibility. There was someone else there that night at the scene of the crime. What? I believe the judge spoke truthfully earlier. You do make trials ridiculous, Mr. Wright. This trial has proceeded on one central assumption, namely that at the time of the incident there were only 3 people in that room. I believe this new evidence, shall we say, overturns that assumption. The problem is that you chose to conceal this information from the court. I suppose that is a problem, yes. The court is adjourned for a brief recess. Mr. Gavin, I'll see you in my chambers during this recess. Certainly, Your Honor. Very well, the trial will resume in 20 minutes. Yeah, I mean, the problem with the evidence of who did the actual murder is there's not a whole lot of evidence. I mean, Wright's fingerprints are on the bottle and the guy's head is smashed in. So, I mean, I think the whole idea of arguing about the cards was to prove that there was a motive. April 20th, 11:52, District Court, Defendant Lobby. It's quite unexpected, Mr. Wright, to suddenly claim there was another person at the scene of the crime like that. I must ask, is it the truth? Well now, I think you would know the answer to that. Ah, being mysterious, are we? Sadly, I've no time for mysteries. I'd only ask that you leave the defending to your defense in the future. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome. See, you haven't mailed out one bit, Christoph. Justice. Yes, sir. The judge has summoned me to his chambers, so carry on without me. You did well, Apollo. Can I ask you something? Sure. That locket you wear, is that really yours? The set of the cards would indicate more tampering at the crime scene. More tampering at the crime scene. Yeah, that's also true. Like, if the cards were tampered with, what's to say that other things haven't been tampered with as well? So, it's definitely something weird's going on. But we'll have to get to the bottom of it. Is that really yours, Mr. Wright? Ah, you're wondering about the victim's disappearing locket. Here, you can take a look at it. That's a picture of my daughter in there. I'm just surprised to hear you had a daughter. Most people are. Perhaps you'll meet her one of these days. Yeah, I'm gonna... I'll point this out for Tormuse's benefit. Well, no, I'll just let the game explain it. One more question. Who would have cheated that night? Was it you? What do you think? Huh? You know what happened 7 years ago. What I did. It's not unreasonable for you to think I might cheat. I never, honest, but It is odd that he managed to go undefeated for 7 whole years. Want to know something? There's only one game where you can be dealt bad cards all night and still win. Poker. Eh? You see, poker is all about reading your opponent. In that way, it's a lot like a court case. Poker is like trial law? Figure out what your opponent is thinking, and you win. Well, yeah, but that's harder than it sounds. I think not. Try as they might to conceal it, everyone reveals their true thoughts in the end. Your body language can become a valuable source of information. You're kidding. That witness, for instance, Ms. Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? No. Come on, who'd notice that? Words, habits, twitches, it's all information for the reading. That's the secret to winning, Apollo. Someone taught me, and now I pass the secret on to you. But I'm not worthy. I mean, there's no way I'll pick up on these signals. No, you can do it. Huh? You just don't know it yet. What's he talking about? But you will, soon. Almost forgot. One more thing about this case. You should know, I haven't told the truth to anyone yet. What? I knew it. And my reasons, of course. All shall be revealed. And Apollo, I need you to be there, defending me. I need your power. My own power? I had no idea my cords of steel were that special. It's time. The real trial begins now. Do your best. April 20th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, Courtroom Number 2. The court will now reconvene, as our witness, Ms. Olga Orley, recovered. Yeah, it is an episodic thing. Basically, each, like, usually it breaks up between, like, the trial, and then there'll be, like, some investigations that happen outside the trial. But this one looks like it's going to be taking place entirely in the courtroom, so... Yes, Your Honor. Well, she's regained consciousness. Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again. That's the thing. You see, she's quite fatigued. You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne. Sadly, fatigue is insufficient grounds for refusing to testify, or prosecute. Defense would like to request that Ms. Orley take the stand. Very well. The witness will take the stand. Perhaps you could repeat your name and profession. Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar, and a poor loser. Not. Name's Olga Orley. That's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. People call me Olga Quick Fingers Orley. Oh, really? Want to know something else? I'm not really Russian. My last name sounds like, oh really? There, that's the truth. Hope you're satisfied. Witness, you will tell the court what you were really up to that night. Yep, now the trial really begins. Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see? It reminds you that you are currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences. Fine. Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy Smith hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at the Borscht Bowl Club several days prior to the night of the game, as a waitress. So you were in cahoots with the victim. Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. But winning wasn't the main... Oh yeah. Winning wasn't the main purpose of this game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple, elegant really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search right. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut. You swapped the cards. Exposed as a cheater and losing on top of it. It would have made a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. Indeed, getting caught red-handed at cheating would cast doubt on all his prior wins. A 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan. Oh really, Orly? How droll. But it appears you made quite the mistake. A mistake? I agree, the trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to that planted card? Hey, that's right. He's lucky, I'll give him that. You'd have to be to slip free from a trap laid by Olga Quickfingers O'Reilly. Oh, really? That's another thing they'll do. Once they have someone's name as a pun or something like that, they will frequently refer to it as such. So, you know, Phoenix... Yes, oh, really? So, like, Phoenix Wright in the first game. So many right puns. Right, wrong, different spellings, trite. The witness would be much cuter if she dispensed with the evil mastermind shtick. Cute? Who wants to be cute? I'm not cute. I'm bad. You hear me? Bad. Right, Natsuki. When you're through being bad, perhaps you can testify to the court. Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung. That night, I planned the card like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him, but the planted card was gone. The trap failed. The next moment, Wright picked up the bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith, it was that no-good cheating defendant. Surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark. The trap was perfect, I tell you, perfect. If that rotten cheater hadn't messed it up. Look who's talking. Well, the testimony, for what it's worth, is all yours, Mr. Justice. With witnesses like her, who needs criminals? With defendants like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors? Planted the card like it was supposed to. This planted card, which card was it exactly? The trump card. The 5 of hearts. Let me guess. Mr. Wright was to have switched the 5 with the ace to make a full house. At least that's what you were going to accuse him of doing, thereby ruining his legend. I slid into Wright's pocket. What was this? Why, before the match, of course, while he was eating. At the Borscht Bowl Club, we serve borscht and suckers. Alright, have a good evening. Remind me never to go there. Of course, the card was to make its grand debut during the game. Like a good borscht, a good plot must be cooked up early and allowed to thicken. And Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to, then Smith searched him. So everything went according to plan. Exactly. The 5th ace came up, so it's obvious the switch went off without a hitch. Yeah. Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would be forever known as a cheat and fraud. The worst things to be known as, I suppose. Tell us what happened with the search. The planted card was gone. The trap failed. The card disappeared? Yeah, my trump card, the 5 of hearts. Gone. Without a trace. Poof. Zippo. We searched every nook and cranny, even inside his cute little hat. But the card was nowhere to be found, is this correct? Never in my long storied career, never has Quickfingers O'Reilly been so really duped. Oh really? So what had happened to that 5 of hearts? Don't look at me. Why don't you ask that cheating, lying, two-faced defendant? 5 of hearts is still missing in action. Next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. Wait, isn't that a little odd? What's odd? We searched Mr. Wright thoroughly and found nothing, which means he didn't cheat, which means he had no reason to strike the victim. Well... She's reaching behind her hat again. Was that just now? I sensed something. Something wrong, Mr. Justice? No, nothing, Your Honor. What to do? Should I press her a little harder? This is really... You're hiding something. What are you talking about? You... Me? Quick Fingers really? Hide something? The defense will refrain from baseless accusations. I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true? Of course it's true. I did see it, honest. I saw it when Wright hit him. With my own eyes I saw it. It's this weird vibe I'm getting. The witness, for instance, Miss O'Reilly. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? Touching her neck, was it? Whoa, what's going on? The sensation, it's coming into focus. There, that twitch, it's so clear. It's like I could perceive her habit like I couldn't before.
Gotcha!
So really, perhaps you are unaware of this yourself. Unaware of what? Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, touch the back of your neck with your left hand. My neck? So what? What indeed, Justice? I hadn't noticed anything of the sort. When she says that part of the testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. The body reacts to the memory and she touches her neck. I'm sure of it. Memory? Would someone care to explain what he's babbling about? This is highly unusual. Let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence of this memory to show us? Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. So what would remind her most of the moment of the crime? So really, whenever you recall the crime that night, you scratch your neck. I've noticed it happens when you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left an inerasable impression on your neck is this. I mean... the bottle?
Take that!
When she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck, and what reminds us more of that moment than this bottle, the murder weapon. But something doesn't fit. If you were only the witness to the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain? What's he talking about now? No, not you, Pain. Is Mr. Smith the victim who was hit, not you? This is a cross-examination, not a cross-wild conjecture. The witness's habits? They're completely irrelevant. Justice, I'll admit, I'm a bit confused myself. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later, just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Ms. Worley, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment. Yeah, I am knowing nothing. She's, we know you're not Russian. The witness will testify, please. Now. Bah, fine. He's the one who did it. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there.
Hold it!
You seem uneasy. Try standing up here. Eyes are darting all over the place. I must be getting warm. Tell me, after the crime, what was the defendant like? Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in a daze at that table until the cops came. Intriguing. I believe you've gotten all the testimony you're going to get out of this witness. So, what do you think about her testimony? I'll tell you what I think. Her testimony is basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence. What's that? Well, show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. This evidence that you claim contradicts the testimony. She didn't let him out of his sight until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that. phone call. Because, yeah, he had to have gone to the first floor to use the cell phone.
Take that!
So really, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. Eh? And we know that the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Borscht Bowl Club. So explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely. The man who picked up a bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant. Showdown time. Attorney cheat. Check his pockets. Now. It's gone. The card's gone. You lose. Ah. Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from next to right. Smith grabbed the bottle. And he hit me. You, some master of cheating you turned out to be. Huh. Eek. When I came to, the victim was already dead. Is that it? That's why I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in league with Smith, I'd be a suspect for sure. Well, where does this leave us? Madness. This is madness. I'm dreaming. Must have been me who was hit with a bottle, and I'm imagining all of this. Appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events? Mr. Gavin, sir? I believe that, as the defense in this case, we are compelled to call Ms. Aurelia a big fat liar. What? 3 were in that room the night of the murder, the defendant, victim, and her. And she has a motive. A motive? Her plot foiled, the witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith, and the denouement of that argument was murder. What? I'm no killer. It's a trap. Someone's trying to frame me. What tangled webs we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled we catch ourselves in the process. Mr. Wright? Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Christoph Gavin. What do you say? Why not consider the other possibility? That there was another person in the room at the time of the murder. Right, like Mr. Wright was saying before recess, a single card was swapped into the victim's hand after the murder, and the one who swapped the card didn't know 2 colors of cards were being used. A 4th person. Ha! This theory again. Your 4th person doesn't exist. Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court. Here, where there's no escape and no chance for deception. The perfect place to catch the real criminal. The real criminal? And we're in luck. A clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided for us. And right at the beginning of the trial, no less. And there was something that I kind of remember hearing. What? Apollo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about. Sorry. Remember what I said. The 4th person who swapped the cards made one critical error. Knew she wasn't considering the color on the backs of the cards. Right. But how could such an obvious mistake occur? The cards used for the last game were red. Yet, there's one person here in our court who thought those cards were blue. Yeah, I had that impression too. Why? Oh, I think I know what he's talking about. Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was? It's not me, I swear. Who is this 4th person? I always get put on the spot like this. Let's hear what the defense has to say. Who was it? Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue? So, we know it wasn't her. We know it wasn't him. We know it wasn't him. And we know it's not Winston. He did say something at the beginning about there being blue cards. Granted, he was just looking at the photo, so anyone could have made that assumption, but as I expected, your eyes and ears are as sharp as your hair. I was right? Christoph Gavin, you were the fourth person that night. He did say at the beginning, didn't he say at the beginning he'd had dinner with Phoenix? Of course Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards. How would he? As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is black and white. The other photo wasn't presented until later. You can't tell which of the cards are blue, the ones on the floor, the ones on the table. But look, you can see the colors in this photo. Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light. Right. Well, Christoph? Mr. Gavin? Mr. Gavin, is something the matter? Hmm? No, nothing. Excuse me, it was just so sudden. Right. You aren't seriously accusing me, are you? Oh, Christoph? You know even I'd never take a joke this far. This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. The defendant accusing his own defense attorney of murder? I assure you, I'm quite sane. What possible connection could Mr. Gavin have to the victim? I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either. Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim have never even met. Well, what if they have? There's a possibility, after all. They may have met that night, before the game started. What are you suggesting? Is this the truth Mr. Wright was staying silent about? Well, only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you testify at this court. The defense would like to request no such thing. Mr. Gavin, testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happening before that game of poker be related? I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin. As I explained before, the defense believes that Mrs. O'Reilly... Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense, not you. Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you. Oh, okay. Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony? Yeah, I think we gotta do it. It's Mr. Wright's strategy. He was planning this all along. I intend to see it through. The defense would like to request that Mr. Wright testify at the court. And to Justice, you would betray me, your teacher? I'm sorry, Mr. Gavin. This isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth. I mean, if he's innocent, nothing will come of this, right? Right? Very well. The defendant, Mr. Wright, will take the stand, please. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. Right, we sat at the table in this photograph. He did say he had dinner at the beginning. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Christoph left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut in his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. Mr. Gavin, you were at the Borscht Bowl Club the night of the murder? I dine with him rather frequently. And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder? Quite against my will, I had become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him. You were planning this all along, weren't you, Wright? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now. But my office was doing you a favor when we took on your defense. It appears that I was wrong. Very well, the defense may cross-examine the witness. Justice? Sir? He's lying, and you're going to expose him. Understood, sir. Gavin, Mr. Wright, this can't end well. I can't have a normal trial. Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this room. You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yes, he dines with me at the Borscht Bowl Club quite frequently. We're enjoying a usual dinner at our usual spot, as usual. Usual? I always eat at the table closest to the piano. I see. And Mr. Smith was sitting. So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner. Indeed, the remnants of my meal with Christoph. We dined for 2 hours, then Christoph left. After that... 5 minutes? So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time. That would have been a fateful encounter, to be sure. Oh, Mr. Wright, what was it you said? Christoph Gavin and Shady Smith may have met? I believe I did say that. Here I was all nervous about this meeting, and now we hear they just passed in the hall. That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder. Oh, it would be. If that were all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding this time? When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. About this failed trap, this is the same trap that Ms. Olga O'Reilly mentioned. It's not as simple, elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. Find a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces. And to reveal, Smith would call him out and search Wright. Would then pull out the planted card, and the trap would snap shut. Yes, a harmless prank in essence. It was by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it. Quirk? I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. The card she planted. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game. Disposed? Where? There's an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. Threw the card inside the bottle. Empty bottle of grape juice. The murder weapon. Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The colored glass makes it hard to see. Battle of wits between the deceiver and the would-be deceived. It sounds like terrific drama. The card inside the murder weapon. That's strange. Police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I'll take a look. Alright, the poker head of courtroom number 3 approves of this battle of wits. Please revise your testimony with this new information. The trap during the game and dispose of the card in the bottle. But it's empty. Called Smith was uncontrollable, left to call the police. You made the call of the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly, cell phones don't get a signal down the hideout. No one else on the first floor at that time. Not a soul. It was the middle of the night, after all. So there, in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut. When you returned, the victim was already dead, yes. I'll admit, I was a little startled when I walked in. A little? He was bleeding from his forehead, after all. Yes, I'd be startled too if I walked in on a scene like that. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. She explained why you called Mr. Gavin. I'd obviously gotten involved in a rather sticky affair. I figured Christoph's law office would give me a friend rate for my defense fees. Glad to hear you intend to pay. Well, I'll pay in full, Christoph. It was I who got you involved after all. You may find the price of your defense quite high, my good friend. Quite high. Is this the truth that Mr. Wright was talking about? Jesus, you know what you have to do. He's lying. Expose him now. I'm trying to tell you this testimony. The truth has to be in there somewhere. Well, I mean, the obvious problem. The bottle's empty. Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes? Examine the bottle, and I don't see any card in here. No? What, Mr. Wright? Surely it isn't all you have to say for yourself. Can't say that I know what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Perhaps a fifth person came and took it out? Oh, and a sixth person could have helped. Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client. My apologies, Your Honor. Won't have you disparaging our investigation, either. We looked inside that bottle. There was nothing. So what's going on? Is Mr. Wright hoodwinking us again? Or did the card just disappear? In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive contradictions call for decisive evidence. No. Push him harder, Justice. Break him. It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Ugh. Why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? Stop and I had dinner with somebody. I mean, blood was streaming from a cut on his forehead, but the first photo doesn't show that. It's only after he removed the hat during the investigation.
Objection!
Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes? Take a look at this photograph of this crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. Justice, next time you point out an inconsistency, put a little more oomph into it. Mr. Wright, can you explain this to the court? Ah, I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. Eh? You put the hat on the dead man's head? He wore it through our entire poker game. After calling the police, when I returned to the scene, his head was in full view, shining bright, just like in this photograph. And I picked his hat up off the floor and put it on his head. Why'd you do such a thing like that? All I can say is, I'm sorry, but that's the only thing I touched at the crime scene. So, Mrs. really didn't see it. It being the victim's, or his head. I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Ah, here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems that our client is determined to lie his way through this case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? I believe that's enough of that. Mr. Gavin? This witness's testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I'm getting to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Christoph. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone. Mr. Wright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Eh? When I noticed the trap, I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. And when I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. A reason? That reason is right here. Your cell phone? That night, recall that I spoke with defense attorney Gavin after calling the police. Just in case, I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the court. Christoph, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going well? Something like that. That gentleman who challenged you, he turned out to be good? He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him hard. You mean someone cracked that flawless bone china pate? Huh. It wasn't you, was it? Me? Please. Cop should be here any minute. I'm in your hands, should it come to that. Bone china plate? Kind of porcelain. Very smooth and shiny, and not plate, but paint? Pate? I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. Court appreciates the defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second, something's not right about that phone call. So after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bowl Club. Most certainly. Then how did he know? When did he see this bone china? I'm not sure if it's pate or paid. Oh, that's right. Yes, that was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Because how would he have known that the guy was hit in the head? Troubled, I returned to the crime scene. When I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. Perhaps you would like to explain this to the court. Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So, this is your reason. The reason why you put the victim's hat back on. Your point, Mr. Gavin. It's come down to this, has it, Phoenix Wright? Order. I will have order. Mr. Payne. Yes, Your Honor. I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear Defense Attorney Gavin's testimony? Well, as the prosecutor, Very well. We'll break for 10 minutes, after which Mr. Gavin will take the stand for cross-examination. Are we all clear on that? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Very well. This will be the final recess for the day. April 20th, 2:32 p.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 3. And you know what? I've been going for a while. My throat's getting kind of tired. And I hate to leave it here, but I think I'm going to have to call it for the night. Yeah, I know. It's just getting good. Yeah, so one of the reasons why I wanted to stream this is, if you haven't seen this before, if you haven't seen these games before, the first game is one of my all-time favorites. The two after it were also really good, but that first one was really great, and I'd always meant to play more of these games. It's always been a lot of fun. It's a game in which you're a defense lawyer. I remember back when I first saw that on the DS, thinking, what? Who would you even do? Like, I'm used to games where I'm either like an action platformer or like, I'm running around shooting enemies as James Bond or like, solving puzzle games or something. Like, a game where I play as a defense lawyer is crazy. But yeah, I've always thought these games were a lot of fun and really interesting. And so, yeah, I don't know. I hope if you haven't seen this before that it's a fun trip down memory lane, and if you haven't, I highly encourage you to not only to give this one a try, but to go back and play the original trilogy as well. You could have seen this, and it won't spoil too much for you from the original trilogy. You'll be fine. But I do recommend you go give it a shot because they're a lot of fun, and yeah. Otherwise, like I said, I'm going to call it here. I will probably try and stream some tomorrow. Not sure, probably around the same time. But as always, I will upload these. I will keep a copy of these around. So yeah, if you don't get to watch the stream, you can always catch it later. But yeah, that's going to wrap up for tonight. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you later.